Amanda from the Fundamental Home, and I'm here with Ricky. Yay! Ricky actually has been broken into YouTube this week because when we went to Justin Rhodes' house, Ricky got to spend a lot of time on camera.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that video, I'm going to link that up here for you. It's very amusing. But today, we are finally going to do the interview with a homeschooler. Ricky is our freshly minted homeschool graduate. Last week was his actual graduation ceremony, but he didn't graduate last week. He actually graduated in the fall. Our homeschool group just has a graduation ceremony once a year, so we did the ceremony this past week. But in actuality, Ricky started college this last semester. So what I wanted to do was go ahead and interview him now that he's completed his first semester of college, and have him talk to you about how being a homeschooler has impacted his whole college experience. Now that he's had this first semester down, and just get this fresh eyes, fresh opinion on how homeschooling impacted college. Of course, we're going to interview Brian later. Brian's going to be a college graduate, so we'll get his full-on college experience. But Ricky's got one semester down, and he's in the middle of a second semester, and we're going to find out his opinion. So, without any further explanation, I'll get right to the first question. The first question is really simple. How did the first semester go? Were you comfortable with it?
It went a lot better than I expected. I was expecting some, a little bit of hard time, transitioning, but it really wasn't all that bad.
Super. I knew he had a good time. I think part of it was, though, that you had friends that were there.
Yeah. It did help that I knew some people who were going.
Yeah, and we purposely knew people in our homeschool group, and they were kind of on the same track, so as much as we could, we tried to plan classes where they were together and they could hang out and do whatever they did, and I think that was helpful.
Yeah.
Because, like, when they would forget about their assignment due dates and stuff, they could remind each other, they could look over each other's papers and things. So that was helpful. All right, what was the best part of being a homeschooled college student?
The best part of being a homeschool college student was that I was okay with being by myself, and I was also good in a group. There wasn't...
Pressure?
Pressure, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Pressure of having to be in a group at all times, or you couldn't function. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I think that makes sense. Like, I think that people who are used to being in a public school situation where there's mobs of people everywhere, at the college you were pretty much by yourself a good portion of the time, right?
Yeah, especially at the beginning, I didn't know really anybody, and as time went on, you'd meet one person and start hanging out with them a little bit, and then meet another, and then meet another, and eventually I got a good group of friends.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important to mention because a lot of people, their biggest concern about homeschoolers is the whole social skills thing. And they think, oh, you're going to send your kids to college and they won't know how to handle themselves. You didn't find that to be the case, did you?
Nah.
Yeah, totally comfortable. Totally comfortable with the adults, totally comfortable with the other kids, although I guess they're all adults, even the students in college are adults. But anyway. All right, third question. Were there any challenges that you think are attributed to being a homeschooler?
Let me think. Troubles.
Challenges.
Challenges. Thank you. I think writing would definitely be the hardest thing in the going into it from being homeschooled. Because there's the two different formats that you gotta learn, the MLA and the APA, and then both of them are really different from each other. And in homeschool, it was only ever like a page, a couple paragraphs, not much, and then all of a sudden it was 3 to 5 page papers, 5 to 7 page papers. I mean, that was the hardest part. It was like, what is this?
Well, I think it kind of depends on your homeschool style. Like I've mentioned before in my homeschool videos that I didn't require a lot of writing for my high schoolers because my whole thing was I wanted to make sure they could write well enough, and then I kind of let it go because I knew they were going to go to college and do a lot of writing, so I didn't want it to be overwhelming for all the years of high school homeschool and then go to college on top of that and just continually be doing papers. But actually, after Brian, I think he just kind of took to papers and it just wasn't a big deal to him. Ricky he had a little bit more struggle with the paper thing. I don't know. I think it's anyway. I think it's just a personal preference thing, but you really had a hard time with it, so I kind of wished that I had actually made Ricky do a few more extra papers. But then again, I don't think you would have wanted to do more papers.
No.
Kind of happy just doing the ones that you did and just dealing with the ones you got in college, right? So, yeah, and MLA and APA, he said they're both very different, but I think the more you do them, this was just his first semester, the more you do them, the more you find they're actually kind of similar.
Yeah. Yeah, and after you do it, I mean, as many papers as you do, eventually you just know how to do it. And even when you just write a paper just for, I don't know, the fun of it, if you do that, it's just, I don't, but my brother does.
You enjoy writing.
Brian does. He likes doing stuff like that. And you just do it naturally. Yeah. And you end up just typing it up. MLA.
Okay.
Anyways.
Oh, we kind of already talked about this. This question is, how did you get along with others with socialization a problem? So.
It really wasn't a problem. Everyone was the same, pretty much. Nobody was any less sociable.
Did you get any teasing at all?
No.
No professors kind of singled you out in the classroom and said, you are homeschooled. You don't understand this. No one noticed that you were homeschooled?
No.
Okay.
I got asked all the time what public school I went to or this, that, and the other.
Great. See? Didn't have any issues at all. Okay, well, this was, and I wrote these questions for him a while ago, so I haven't read them, but the next question we kind of already talked about. Do you have any issues with the professors because of homeschool?
The only problem that I had with the professors was from being homeschooled and then going to college. When you're at home, when you do your work, mom cares about how well you do. And it might sound horrible, but the professors don't care. They could pretty much care less if you fail. And that was probably one of the hardest parts about the professors, was that they don't care. I had a professor flat out tell me, your failure is what keeps me in business. Your failure is why I get paid. And
he didn't say that just to you, like he said that to
He
class.
said it to the class,
yeah, okay.
But I'm just saying,
okay.
like, he said it to everyone. I don't know, that was the hardest part for me, was that the professors really don't care, and it took me a while, because, like, there was, I had, like, a issue with one of my maths. I just wasn't getting something, and I was having a really hard time with these tests and quizzes, so I was talking to him about it, and he really didn't care too much. He was,
you should probably get a tutor.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Versus mom, and mom will be like, let me see if I can figure this out with you. So yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a transition if you're used to someone who's ready to jump in and help you, and a professor who's got so many students and they don't have time to just immediately do something. They're like, you should go to the math center and see if you can't figure that thing out. So that is a little bit different, I can see. If you are hearing our cat, Tater Tot is a kitten, and he knows we're here and he wants to play and he keeps whining. So just know that is what is going on if you hear him. He's just a kitten.
He just wants the attention.
Play with me.
Run and get Brianna and see if she'll run him around for me.
Yep.
Okay, next question. Is there anything that you wish you'd studied more in high school that we didn't study enough for your college classes? Because we already talked about the writing. You don't wish you'd done more writing.
No, I don't. I wish I'd done math more and just studied and spent more time trying to get better at it myself instead of trying to rush through and just get it done.
I think that's the key. He says he wished he'd studied more math. I don't think you wish we'd done more years of math.
No, just
that you had taken it more seriously.
Just me taking it more seriously.
Instead of just trying to get the thing
just like,
knocked
okay,
out.
done. Whoop.
Yeah. Paid more attention to it. I think
Taking notes.
I think probably a lot of people feel that way when they head to college, so I don't think that's anything strange. Is there anything that we studied that you don't feel like you really needed? that you haven't really used in college per se?
I guess if I was gonna say anything, it would probably be some of like the chemistry and stuff that I looked into. Because I mean, if you are wanting to go into a field that has a lot of it, then sure, that's important to study. And it'd be good to study that in high school so you know a little bit when you take the college class versions. But me personally, I want to pursue art. So that kind of is just, I don't know, I don't want to say pointless.
Well, no, I know what you're saying.
It just, yeah, so probably like the higher level like sciences that I wasn't really going to use, and maybe some of like the histories, and spent more time on what I was actually going to pursue.
Yeah, I think that was one thing that we learned in the process of doing the two boys, is that we really tried, we tried to tailor their education to them and in the direction they were going, because you did study a lot of art. I mean, you spent lots of hours studying art at home, and we knew that Ricky was heading toward an art direction, and we knew Brian was going to be doing the more math heavy things and all of that. So we really tried to tailor it, but at the same time the state recommends that you, because we don't have state requirements, we have recommendations, and we go by our state. We live in North Carolina, and we go by the state college requirements. So the North Carolina university system has requirements for certain classes to get into their university, and so they require so many English, so many math, so many history, so many science, and we go by that. So there were histories that you had to take and science and with labs that he had to take that weren't really anything that he was going to pursue in higher education, but we went ahead and did that just to make sure that he had options.
Dog is loud. Yep. We have beagle puppies that just were born a couple weeks ago, and that's what you're hearing.
Yeah, our neighbor had some beagle puppies, and now they're yapping. Probably because Brianna has the cat out. Because we were like, Brianna, go play with the kitten so she won't cry so much. And now the puppies are you know.
Just can't win.
Yeah, we're just going to go with it. So this is the last question. What one piece of advice would you give a graduating homeschooler?
One piece of advice would I give a graduating homeschooler?
See, this is, I feel so good about myself that he answers the question by repeating the question. That's such a great step when you're writing.
Yeah, you do that.
This is like a prompt.
Do that a lot.
Anyway, go ahead. What's your advice?
First thing of advice I would say is don't be nervous. If you're for any reason you're nervous about it, don't be. There's no reason to be. Everyone's there, and like I was having a little bit of trouble also back in the back, near the front, like talking to like more of the stuff right at the beginning. I didn't really want to go up and ask questions. And I don't know, it just kind of that made me nervous.
You mean of the professors?
Yeah, like professors, advisors,
okay.
Stuff like that. Just
everybody.
The higher people, like students. I was like, whatever.
Students were fine.
Don't be scared of the students either.
The administration
like,
and the professors.
Like the important people. I was a little nervous about talking to them, but after a while, you just have to think of them as normal people. Really, they're there to talk to you about stuff that they know. I don't know. It's just there's nothing to be nervous about. Yeah. Everyone's willing to help you. If you have a genuine problem and you are genuinely coming for help,
yeah,
anyone will help you. Even a student will help. I mean, don't be nervous if you're going into college.
If you go to the writing center, they'll help you fix your paper, but they won't write your paper for you.
Yeah, they'll have a guy there and he'll read it and like, okay, I think you should do this. I think you should do this to make it better. And then don't be worried about. Don't be stressed out about the people at all.
Don't argue with your professors.
Don't argue with your professors. Don't. Yeah, there were some people I've seen some people who've tried to do that, and it's not a good idea. It's really not a good idea.
Like if they say change this in your paper, you're like, no, I'm gonna stand by what I wrote. No, they're grading it.
Yeah, Yeah, don't argue. Just don't. Especially if you're writing, if you're arguing about a paper and they say, and they're the ones who's grading it, like, don't argue. Just say, okay, I'll do that. Because there have been several times where they've suggested something and I've thought this sounded better, but I fixed it the way they wanted it because they asked for it, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is our homeschooler interview thing that we've been promising for quite a while. I wanted to make sure you guys heard directly from our homeschooler what it was like to go for his first semester at college, and he is in the middle of his second semester because he's going through the summer as well, full time.
Yep.
And just trying to make it happen. Of course, I should mention Ricky is 16 years old. So he's a little young. Did anybody say anything to you about being young? He did have one incident.
Yeah, there was one incident where the college I go to has a high school attached to it.
They do.
And there was at one point where I was by myself and I was walking around and I sat at a table and I was just working on some homework, and so they called all the high school students to go back to class. It was like lunch or something, and they called them all back to go back to class. And one of the ladies came up to me and was like, "You got to go back to class." And I was like, "I'm not a high school student. I'm in college." And she would not believe me. I had to get out my ID and they had to run it, and yeah, it was a fiasco. But I've had that, and other than that, I've just had people like, "You're 16? What? How'd that work?"
Yeah.
And then, but no, it's not a big deal.
Let me ask you, it wasn't on the questions. Did you find yourself to be any less prepared for college than the other students? Were you any worse of a student? Were you any better of a student? Or were you just kind of like everybody else?
No, I was just like everyone else. There were, in one of my classes, I was having a problem with, just had a little issue with one of the math things, and they paired me up with another man who was having the same issue, and they were talking to both of us at the same time. And the man was in his 40s, and then I was 16. And I mean, everybody's pretty much this. Everybody's got levels. I mean, I don't know if that answered it or not.
Yeah, like things that they're better at.
Everybody's got things they're better at. Everybody has things they're less.
Ricky's great. He's amazing. But he's just like everybody else. And I just want to make sure you didn't feel less prepared.
No, everybody's.
Yeah.
There are people who excel. There are people who don't. I mean.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who really struggled. I mean, in that one math class, he heard of somebody that retook it like 11 times or something like that.
Wasn't quite 11.
All right, it was a lot.
Wasn't quite 11.
They
But
had to
yeah,
retake it several times.
It was a lot, and all of the teachers there were very stressed out for her, and because she wanted, I forget what it was, but it was like a nursing degree or something like that, and you need a lot of math for that, and she just couldn't pass this portion, and she'd done it so many times, and she had this habit of like not showing up to class. So another advice: always show up to class.
Show up on time.
Always show up to class.
And do all your work on time.
Like always. Like it was. I was really surprised. This is going on, but I was really surprised how many people skip classes. They just like. There were several times I heard people like, "Oh yeah, I got something going on that day. I'm going to the beach or something," and I was like, "You're in college. Like, you're paying money to take these classes." And I don't know. Just always show up to class. Always do your work. And if you do your work, you show up to class. The professors and advisors are even more thrilled to help you.
Yep.
They're. I mean, if you're not doing your work.
He had one class that he was your PE class, right? That you were the only one that showed up for everyone?
Yep.
He was the only one that showed up for every single class.
No, wait.
Maybe one other person? But he said something to you on the last day. He thanked you.
Yes, he thanked me for showing up.
On the last day. Because on the last day...
Yeah, I was the only one. I was the only one who stayed for every single... class, and he thanked me for it, because there was one. Yeah, they like it if you show up to every class. and
And
don't
it just
make-
makes sense because I mean you're paying for the classes, you're trying to learn all this stuff so you can pass it. Show up.
and on the work thing, just do your work. It's like there are people who like do it half-heartedly, or like they don't put in as much effort, and you can always tell if you look at someone's work if they've really cared. And just always do your work. Always do your work. Stay on. Advice: show up to class. Do your work. Don't be scared of the teachers and professors and stuff. And
That's it. He was really getting that advice there.
I was getting excited
I know,
for a
it's
second.
like, yes, I'm gonna put some wisdom on
And
you.
by the way, I was feeling it.
All right. Well, this is really going to be the end of the interview with me and Ricky. So if you guys have any other questions for him, put it in the description box, or excuse me, not the description box. You put it in the comment section.
There you go.
There we go. And we'll make sure that he answers any questions that you have. If you have any questions for me, make sure you put them down there. And that's it. So we will see you guys next time. And I will talk to you very soon.